Welcome back. 2024 was an eventful year in South African politics, with the African National Congress losing its electoral majority in the May 29th polls for the first time since the dawn of democracy. The election outcomes forced the ANC into a coalition government with what seemed like indefinite talks among opposition parties. The EFF also lost electoral support at the polls, losing its position as the third biggest party. That wasn't the only loss for the EFF. Its deputy leader and one of its founders also decided to call it quits and left for the Umkhonto weSizwe party. Now comes the MK party with the help of a former president of the country and member of the ANC, Jacob Zuma. The party was launched in 2023 and scooped the official opposition spot in the government of national unity. These are just some of the many events which changed the political landscape forever. Let's reflect further on the year that was in politics with political analyst Dr Zamo Mbandlwa. Doctor, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this morning. Certainly a very eventful year, 30 years into democracy, and then suddenly the ANC has dipped below that 50% mark that was anticipated by forecasters, which actually then left the party falling to a dramatic 40% of that vote share. What was your take in terms of the outturn for the ANC in 2024, 30 years into democracy?
Good morning, Katleho. Good morning to the viewers. Well, you are talking about a very important development that you have seen in South Africa, which has never happened for many years. So during the campaigns, many young people were saying 2024 is their 1994. And indeed, South Africa have experienced a new political landscape, which is similar to what have transpired in 1994, where there was a change in political dynamics in South Africa. And 2024 was indeed, after 30 years of democracy, things have changed. But in the main, the problem that I've observed in South Africa, particularly in the past 10 years or so, was the public discontent with the leadership of the African National Congress, which was in power in South Africa for the past 30 years. So, which is the main reason for me that have caused what have happened in 2024. And I think mainly the undermining of people and also assuming that ANC was going to be in power until Jesus Christ come back was the main reason why people decided to show the ANC that they have power to vote, and if they don't want to see the ANC in power, they can vote the ANC out. But the bigger challenge that I think public had was the alternative. And in 2023, in December, the announcement that was made by the former president of the ANC and that of the country have made an alternative for people who believed in the ANC and who did not see any other option other than the ANC, who voted for the ANC even though they were not happy about how the ANC is running its own affairs as the political party and also in government. And this is why you have seen many people who were not happy in the ANC voted for the MK party, and those who are not happy in their own political parties.
You make mention of the alternative that South Africans had, and this particular election saw 52 parties on that ballot paper. What does this say to us about our fractured and volatile political landscape?
What I will say, Katleho, is that South Africa, where I'm seated now, is sitting on an autopilot situation where we do not know what the future holds for us. Now that we have a government of national unity, a government of provisional unity in some provinces, we do not know what is likely to happen. And I think whatever suggestion that people might make might not happen, because I don't think many of us have anticipated what was going to happen in 2024 elections. Now we have many parties, and these political parties have an agenda, their own political ideologies, their observation on how things must happen in government. So those parties combined will not necessarily take the country forward, because they will still back with the political ideologies. There are some sacrifices that they must make on the basis of the political ideas of different political parties. They have different ideas on how the country must be governed. So there are so many things that might happen. I see people are very excited and happy about the government of national unity. They've suggested that there are some developments in other areas, such as how they like things are happening in Department of Home Affairs and Department of Sports and Recreation. But you know, the main problem now is when people discharge their duties in government, it does not necessarily mean they will be supported by their political parties. Well, for small political parties, I think there's not much conflict. But in bigger political parties like the Democratic Alliance and the African National Congress, there will be a problem. And I'm saying this, Katlego, primarily because we've seen many other people who supported the ANC over the years, who were alliance with the ANC, coming out very loud in public and saying that they will never support the ANC in the future, in the upcoming local government elections. And you have seen alliances such as the SACP. So I'm just saying that there will be a conflict for major political parties. But small political parties like, with no offense, like PA and other small parties, there will be not much conflict. So you see, that's where the problem is. We don't know what the future holds for us. And also with regards to the ANC and the alliance, now you have the SSCP who is, which is taking a different position. So we do not know what future holds for South Africa.
Which is quite concerning. And I think my next question to you was going to be about that alliance and those ANC loyalists with that unlikely mix of ideological differences that have made up the GNU. But you've got parties such as the Patriotic Alliance and Minister Gayton McKenzie, who seems to be sailing very smoothly within this GNU.
Exactly, that's my point. You see, with PA is a small party, with no offense. But if you compare the Democratic Alliance and the ANC and the PA, you will see that it is unlikely that there will be conflicts, political ideological conflicts in Patriotic Alliance, and also the leadership challenges or leadership contestations in the PA is much lesser compared to the Democratic Alliance and the African National Congress. So, of course, the leader of the PA can implement what he thinks is right for the country and what he thinks is right for the party without any contradiction with leaders and different structures of the organization, which I'm not sure whether they have different structures like how other parties have structures. But in the African National Congress and in the Democratic Alliance, when the deployee is doing something which is contrary to the political ideology of the party and the agenda of the party, there will be a conflict and there will be a serious contestation, and in such a way that that particular individual can be recalled. And I'm saying this drawing reference to what has happened in the African National Congress. If you look at the utterances that were made by the president and the Secretary General of the African National Congress and the utterances that were made by the Premier of Gauteng, you will see that there has been an ongoing conflict in the public domain on what is happening between the leadership of Gauteng and the leadership, the national leadership of the ANC. And if the ANC was not as big as it is, it was not going to have such a conflict between the ideologies and the operations of the leaders in various levels of government.
Right. So you touched a little bit on the MK party earlier on. I mean, like you said, in 2023, the formation of this political party was announced. I mean, a disruptor that we never really thought would capture 14% of the national vote. But then the EFF was only able to capture 9% of that electorate. Do you think this was expected?
Well, for me, I think it was expected, simply because if you look at the support of the MK party and that of the EFF, I think in the main they've taken young people. Many young people supported the MK party, especially the hype in the universities. And, you know, young people and especially universities has been a playground of the EFF, because many young people supported the EFF. Even now, they still support it. But if you look at I was looking at the statistics. I was looking at the VDs where the MK received the majority vote. And in KZN alone, many higher education institutions have received, MK have received many votes in higher education institutions. If you look at the VDs, if you look at the statistics. So it tells me that many young people who supported EFF have found a new home or an alternative to EFF. That is why, in the main, the EFF moved from being number 3 main opposition political party in the previous setting, and then MK party now is the official opposition party.
I mean, we saw the EFF hosting a successful National People's Assembly, but this year will certainly go down as one where those notable names of people who left the EFF, from Shivambu to Mkhwebane and Bofu, will always have a dent in that party.
Well, I don't want to dwell much on the current events of the NPA, of the EFF, but what I will say is that Floyd Shivambu was the backbone of the party. Not that the party cannot survive without him, but what I'm saying is that he's very good in writing, he's very good in strategy and tactics. He was also very active in the ANC Youth League during the tenure of the former president, Malema, who was the president of the ANC Youth League. So their relationship comes a long way. So they were together, they were very involved in the drafting of the economic freedom in our lifetime when they were still in the ANC Youth League. So they've done a lot of work, good work together as a collective to shape the direction of young people in South Africa, and also to shape the economic landscape in South Africa. So now that is no longer, but it doesn't mean that because it's no longer part of the EFF, therefore, whatever that he has done for the EFF will go away, or the EFF will not survive without him. The EFF is still going to survive. And what I like is that you find new people in the EFF, you find new heads, new people that have not been known, they are groomed, they are being supported. So I don't think it will have a major impact. But in terms of the voter turnout, it will still have an impact because, as I've indicated earlier on, that many people in the past who voted for EFF because they were not happy in the ANC have now decided to vote for the MK party. And now, moving from EFF to MK party of the former deputy president of the EFF will have an impact. And also it's going to dilute the analogy that has been made by many people that MK party is the Zulu party or the party of KwaZulu-Natal. When you have a leader such as Floyd Shivambu, who is at the center of the organization, then it will change the political landscape and the perceptions that have been made by people at a national level. So we are likely to see a lot of developments, a lot of changes, especially in the local government elections in 2026.
Most certainly. I mean, 2024 was certainly a turn for South Africa. I mean, moving away from a one democratic rule country to now having this multi-party governance. What lessons do you think there are to be learned, especially by political parties that want to take the country forward?
I think all the political parties combined need to learn a very big lesson about what has happened in the 2024 government elections. Number one, they need to understand that people are voting not because they are desperate, but they are voting because they believe in the political ideology of the political party, and also they believe that that political party will bring change into their lives, and they will also create opportunities for them. And if the party is not bringing opportunities for them, or not bringing any change in the country or in their space, then people will decide to vote otherwise. And again, I don't think there's any one political party that will solve all the problems of South Africa, but also the GNU is not going to solve all the problems. It's just a matter of making people understand where we are in terms of the economy and the development, and what are the steps that have been made. You know, in South Africa, our government is known for having good policies. The problem is the implementation. So once the political parties really do what they are supposed to be doing, they deliver according to the policies they make to people during the campaigns, I think then people will be able to be loyal to that political party and also to vote for that political party. Look, what I've said in the past is that You cannot make a promise that you will deliver something in the next 5 years when you have made the same promise in the last 10, 15 years. So it's very difficult. When you promise to do something, you must do it. Then people will have loyalty to you, and they'll also vote for you in the future.
Most certainly. Let's see what 2025 has in store for South Africa, especially on the political front. And of course, that will in turn have an effect on the 2026 local government elections. That was political analyst Dr. Zamo Mbandlwa speaking to us there about the land of politics in 2024.